Hey guys, so today I have a pretty unexpected video, unexpected from me also. As you can tell by the title, I actually just rescued 3 geckos from Craigslist. I do want to mention I'm keeping 2 of them. I will be giving one of them to my friend, which I'll show you them at the end of this video. So I went on Craigslist the other night, which I knew I shouldn't have done because I try to stay off of there because every time I go on, I always see something that I want to give a home. But I did go on there, and of course, the first thing I typed in was geckos. There were quite a few geckos on there that were looking for new homes. Most of them people just didn't really want anymore, which is a sad thing to say, but it's true. And most of the geckos were in pretty good condition, so while they were cute, I wasn't really looking for a new pet because I had no plans on getting new pets until I came across these posts. There were actually 3 separate posts, all by the same person. They were rehoming 2 leopard geckos and a crested gecko. And I know the person who was rehoming these geckos might actually be watching this video because when I met up with them, they actually recognized me from my videos. But I'm just gonna be honest here, I don't want to beat around the bush or anything. These geckos were in really bad living conditions. I will put up some little clips right here of what they were in when I got them. I didn't film the whole thing when I was setting them up in new cages, honestly, just because I wanted to get them out of those cages as quick as possible. But they were in really bad conditions. They were all in 10 gallons. And I know a lot of people keep leopard geckos in 10 gallons, even though that's not my preference, but that wasn't the bad part. The bad part was they really didn't have anything they needed. He did say that they did have heat sources. I just didn't buy the heat sources when I adopted the geckos, but they didn't have humid hides. One of the leopard geckos didn't even have a water dish. And honestly, the cages were disgusting. I'm gonna put a picture up on the screen right now of when I was cleaning one of the cages. I wanna warn you guys, it's pretty gross. It doesn't look like this cage has ever been cleaned, so if you don't want to see it, skip ahead a few seconds. But here is a picture of what I found when I lifted up the carpet in one of the cages. So my initial plan was I was actually only going to adopt the 1 crested gecko. I knew I could find room for it, and I was just going to get that one. I was going to do my part. And so I messaged the person, and we were going to meet the next day after work. This was about 8:30 at night, and Petco closes at 9 o'clock. So I ran to Petco really quick, and I actually got that new crested gecko, a 24 by 18 by 24 Exoterra. I'll be showing you his cage in a bit. So I went to Petco that night, set up this huge nice cage for him. That way when I got him after work the next day, he could move right in. So I went to work the next morning, and I was sitting there trying to get my work done, and all I could think about is how am I going to go rescue that 1 crested gecko and leave those 2 leopard geckos in those conditions. And of course, you guys know I couldn't do that, so I texted the person. I ended up saying, hey, I'll take all 3 of your geckos. I did have to get the 10-gallon tanks that the leopard geckos were in just because I didn't have anything set up for them to move into. So after work, I ended up adopting 1 crested gecko, 2 leopard geckos along with their cages. So I came home from work, I put the crested gecko in his cage since it was already set up and ready to go. And then I had to worry about getting the leopard geckos out of those disgusting, dirty cages and moving them into temporary setups. So for right now, both of the leopard geckos, which I'll show you in a second, are in temporary setups. Like I said, I'm going to be keeping one of them, which I will show you. His name is Pablo. And then my friend Megan, she's been in quite a few of my videos before. She's actually taking the other leopard gecko. She hasn't actually seen him in person yet. She's coming up to get him next week, but she has already named him Sterling. So right now they're both just in 10 gallons, but I did go ahead and I ordered them heat pads with thermostats and just got them set up in little temporary setups just so they didn't have to live in the cages they were in. I know my friend Megan already went to the pet store and she already has everything set up at home. Sterling is going to be moving into a 40-gallon, so he's gonna have plenty of space, and then I am going to be getting an Exoterra for Pablo. So before I show you the geckos, I just want to mention one more thing. I really debated on whether or not I should make this video. On one hand, I really wanted to make it because these geckos were in really bad conditions. But on the other hand, when I did meet up with the person on Craigslist, they were a child and he actually did recognize me from YouTube. So he might actually be watching this right now. So I don't want to bash anyone personally, but I just want to kind of use this as a learning opportunity. I know a lot of you watching are kids, and while I do think a lot of kids are super responsible and can make great pet owners, it's just so important not only to do your research, but really sit down and think about, am I going to have time to take care of this animal for the next, 20 years? Am I going to have the space? Am I going to have the money? If you're a child, you don't have a job, you may get an allowance or your birthday money, but stuff comes up, you might have to get it a new heat source, your heat mat might break, you might need to take it to the vet. And I see so many comments on my videos that say, my parents won't let me get this for my animal, and that's something you really have to take into consideration. So if you're living at your parents' home, I know it's irritating sometimes, but you do have to live by their rules. If they say you can't get something, you can't get it. So you really need to make sure before you get a pet that your parents are going to let you get everything you need to really take care of these animals. It's not only important to make sure you have the funds to take care of them right away, but the ongoing funds to take care of them along with the time. Most reptiles, especially like the leopard geckos and the crested geckos I just got, they are really great beginner reptiles and they don't really take up that much time, but they're still a huge commitment, and it's super important to make sure you're going to be able to give them a good home. I'm just really glad that this guy did reach out and found these geckos new homes, because even though they weren't in great conditions, at least he knew he wasn't able to take care of them. So instead of letting them suffer and live in those conditions, he was able to find them a new home, and I know they're going to be very well taken care of now. So now I will finally get on to the part of the video you guys all really want to see. I'll show you all of the geckos, and we will start with the crested gecko. His name is Jorge. Okay, so this is the new Crested Geckos tank. We actually probably won't be able to see him because I am filming this in the middle of the afternoon, so I'm sure he is sleeping. He is very, very timid still, so I am giving him some time to settle in. Like I said, this is a 24 by 18 by 24, so it's a little bit bigger than the standard 18 by 18 by 24s a lot of people use. That is what I was planning on getting, but Petco didn't have one. They actually don't sell this cage in their store, I guess, but they said someone bought it online and returned it. So I went ahead and got it because bigger is always better in my opinion. So this is just mainly stuff I already had. The only thing I had to buy was the cage itself and then a couple plants. So down on the bottom is just some eco earth. And then over here there are a couple plants. I have a piece of cork running this way, another plant, some more cork, his food and water dish, and then a big plant in the back. And like I said, I don't know where he is right now. I'm guessing he's either down in that plant or actually inside some of this cork. I will put a couple pictures of him up on the screen so you can see him. He is a Dalmatian crested gecko, which they are one of my favorites. When I was getting Harper, I actually wanted to get a Dalmatian, but I couldn't find one at the expo. The kid said he was about a year old, but I'm not sure if he's that old because he's about the same size as Harper. But that is the new crested gecko, Jorge's cage. Now that I've shown you the crested gecko, I will show you the two leopard geckos. Like I said, these are very temporary setups. Over here, this is Pablo. He is the one that's going to be staying with me, and I'm going to be getting him an Exoterra. And then this is Sterling. He does have a little bit of shed stuck there right on his nose that I need to help him with. But these are just the 10 gallons that they came with, and then I went out and bought all this stuff for him just so I could set them up temporarily. So they both have the same setup. They just have a little water dish, a little temporary humid hide that's just made out of a plastic container, and then they have their warm hides over there. Of course, Pablo is hiding. I'll try to get him out in a second. But you can see Sterling's face at least. Like I said, he has a little bit of stuck shed on his nose. When I brought him home, he was actually ready to shed, and he started shedding the next morning. I honestly don't think he's ever had a humid hide before, so I could not get him to go in the humid hide. So I did have to help him shed a little bit, but he has got most of it off. I just need to help him with his nose. So let me go ahead. Like I said, it's the middle of the afternoon, so probably not the best time to film this. But this is Pablo. This is the leopard gecko I'm going to keep. He is honestly really big. I weighed him and he's about 80 grams. And he definitely needs to gain some weight, but his body is very, very large. So once he gets up to weight, I'm guessing he'll be over 90 grams. But that is Pablo, and he is just a normal male leopard gecko. So those are all those geckos that I just got off Craigslist. Like I said, not expected at all, but I knew I did have the space, or I can make the space anyway, and I had the resources and everything to take care of them. Like I said, I'm going to be keeping Pablo the leopard gecko, Jorge the crested gecko, and then Sterling the other leopard gecko is going to be going to my friend Megan. And like I said at the beginning, if you are thinking about getting a new pet, please make sure not to just do your research so you're ready to bring it home, but make sure you're prepared to take care of it for its lifetime. These might be little tiny animals, but they have feelings, they have specific needs, and they do take up some time, space, and money. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I will definitely have some updates on them soon. My next video will probably be putting Pablo in his permanent cage. So if you want to see that video, make sure to give this one a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.